Hi guys and girls, I'm Q&Ant and welcome to Q&Ant. This is the series where I basically talk with all my subscribers, my supporters, both on Patreon as well as YouTube members. Basically, it's a way of saying thank you to everyone who has helped me out over the months and over the years since I've been doing all of this. Without you, this channel would be absolutely nothing at all. I've said it many times before and it genuinely is true. Now, I do ask for questions. This time it's been a little bit quieter, I guess. Perhaps there's not so many people interested in talking about things. Maybe things were a little bit quieter with Elite or something like that, or just in general, perhaps people are a bit occupied with other things going on in the world. But whatever it is, I'm here to talk about the subjects that have been posted. So here we go. And again, thank you everyone. It's very much appreciated. So we'll start out with Nil White 3, or Nil White the 3rd, perhaps that should be. Goes into a few little details here, talking about having a break from Elite. Don't really want to play Microsoft Flight Simulator just yet until VR is added. I can understand that. I think VR for that game is going to be very, very nice indeed. What else have we got here? You've been playing Deep Rock Galactic. I haven't had a look at that just yet, but sounds like it could be something quite interesting, so I'll check it out. And thanks for the heads up there about the glitches in the supporters list at the end. That's something I'm also going to have a look at there. Now, as for questions, what upcoming games in the next 3 months am I most looking forward to? So the one I'm most looking forward to, of course, is Cyberpunk 2077. I think that's coming out in November, if I remember correctly, so that does fit within the next 3-month window. Very much looking forward to that. Was a huge fan of Witcher 3 and indeed Witcher and Witcher 2 as well. So really want to see what CD Projekt Red can come up with Cyberpunk. But I think that's also on the list for many people as well. Outside of that, there's not really a lot of games that I'm looking forward to within that time period. Definitely want to see the next Horizon game, Horizon Wild Frontier, I think it is, the sequel to Zero Dawn. I think that's going to be very nice. Other than that, nothing that's really hitting it off for me at the moment. But I do, of course, want to see what Odyssey is all about. I think perhaps the biggest title I've been waiting for a long time was Microsoft Flight Simulator. We've at last got that in our hands, so that's pretty nice. On to Commander Dr. Digital. Do I have any plans for future live streams? So live streaming is something I really do enjoy. I think most of you have got that from the past. For those of you who have been there in chat or perhaps watched the video on demand of my live streams, but it's something that has become increasingly difficult for me to fit in. So I can't see me doing that anytime soon. I can't see me returning to live stream, at least for the immediate future. But in any event, video creation, that really is the thing that I love doing the most. So it's an area that I really want to continue focusing on. So keep an eye out for videos, live streams, perhaps for the moment at least, not so much. Alright, moving on to Steel, another comment there. Will I still be making content for Flight Simulator 2020 when it's released? And will it be gameplay or development news, or maybe both? So, well, you probably can tell by now that I've definitely carried on making Microsoft Flight Simulator videos. Microsoft Flight Simulator is definitely one of the games I've been waiting for a very long time. But not only that, it's pretty much the game I've always wanted to play. A full recreation of the planet Earth. It does have some issues, of course. It's not perfect by any means, but it's pretty much unlike anything else out there. Unlike Elite, Flight Simulator has an amazing world to explore. In fact, it's certainly the world itself that the development studio, Asobo, have put a huge amount of development focus on. So I think anyone who has watched any of my videos for any length of time will know that exploring intricate open worlds is certainly a passion of mine, and both Elite and Flight Simulator really do fit the bill there. So they will definitely be both remaining a huge focus for this channel. Civilian, Bar Weep, Grana Weep, Niniban. Ah, the universal greeting. Oh, and I hear they take energy credits as well. Don't they sometimes go with that? Gets a bit expensive, I hear. Chris Thompson, interested to know about my rudder pedal setup for Flight Simulator 2020, and to see, or do I use the same rudder pedals for Elite Dangerous? So I use the Thrustmaster T flight pedals. I've had them since 2017. but they actually broke early in the year, and I didn't give them a lot of heavy use, to be perfectly honest, so I don't know if that's just they're a bit poorly made. They do seem very plasticky, a little bit flimsy, and what's happened is the left pedal just simply stopped working. It's utterly unresponsive. So for now, in Microsoft Flight Simulator, I don't have any rudder pedals, so I'm actually using a Thrustmaster TCA side stick. That's the recently released Airbus version of the stick, and I do actually really like it. I'll be making a video that will be talking about that very soon. It was sent to me by Thrustmaster for me to check out, and I'll be comparing it to some of the other controllers I've actually got here. But yeah, for now, I'm using the Twist to Yaw on that stick for Flight Simulator, and whilst I don't find Twist to Yaw absolutely perfect for anything really, and certainly not for flight simulators, it's certainly good enough for now until I get some new pedals. And for Elite, I tend to switch between a Thrustmaster Warthog and an Xbox One controller, really depending on what I'm doing there. But I'm not sure yet which new pedals to get, so if someone out there has any recommendations, then do let me know. What's a good set of pedals to get, especially for a flight sim. Alright, Brooks Anderson. What to do, or did I want to be when I grow up? So there's a question. When I was a kid, I never really knew what I wanted to do for a job or as a career. As I got older, I wanted to do something with computers. So YouTube video editing and talking about video games certainly fits into that. So to be honest, it's great. It's something I really do like doing. Right, very long post here from Alex M, a YouTube member. You're not the best judge when it comes to computer games. You only play Elite and infrequently at that. But this is their fourth rant about Elite Dangerous. So Space Legs is going to be a thing. I might as well read the rest of the post out here. I watched a recent video regarding Elite and VR and do find it really disappointing. There was an opportunity for Elite to keep relevant as a great game and a top-notch VR. All Frontier had to do was keep the gameplay in the cockpit. Instead, they open up another dimension on which to compete with modern games, one I don't think they can possibly win. There was still so much they could have done in the cockpit, from different ship layouts, new vehicles, dropships into atmospheres of planets, stars and gas giants, to driving submarines and ice moons as well, all of which has massive opportunity for new gameplay. What we're going to get is a Space Legs game tagged onto Elite with weak integration. It has to be if Elite is to stand by itself, and to do this, one of the greatest aspects of Elite has been sacrificed. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that Space Legs won't be a bug-ridden and irrelevant to the rest of Elite. Tell me David Braben still knows how to make a computer game, and that when I pay for Space Legs, because I will, the 12-year-old boy in me who played the original Elite won't let me not, and that I will still be playing again, and the wait would have been worth it. So, yeah, quite a lot there, and some of it I do actually agree with, so let's really put over my thoughts on that. I think Odyssey and Space Legs as a game mechanic really does have the chance to go in so many different directions. It's very hard to predict at this particular point. And right now, there's nowhere near enough information from Frontier to make a reasonable call on what to expect, and that is typically how Frontier play things. They hold as much of the information back as they possibly can, and only release it at the last possible minute. With Odyssey, things are a little different. It seems Frontier are planning on releasing a steady flow of information between now and release, so basically marketing. And we'll talk about that as a separate issue in just a moment, because there's another subject kind of related to that I want to talk about. But with regards to Odyssey, there's two sides to how I'm seeing it. On the one hand, I'm really looking forward to seeing where Frontier go with all of this. It's a huge new update and something that is very different for Elite, and it will certainly open up the game in completely new ways. On the other hand, as I've said many times over the previous years, the thing I've wanted the most from Elite Dangerous has been full atmospheric planets, worlds with cloud formations and weather patterns, worlds like Mars and Venus of today, and I know Venus has a thicker atmosphere, but nonetheless it's something I wanted to see. These are both essentially barren rocky worlds that have very different atmospheres to each other, so it would be very interesting to explore and would open up a lot of gameplay opportunities. I've also long wanted to be able to fly into gas giants, something that David Braben himself has said more than once, and has been very descriptive with how he'd have the atmospheres and the giant vast cloud systems were working there. And the list really goes on. Comets, supernova, rogue planets, accessible water worlds, lava worlds, visible accretion disks. The list is absolutely endless. Huge amounts of space and planetary phenomena out there. And then, of course, what about alien civilizations? Sure, we've got Thargoids, but it would be nice to see other alien civilizations out there. After all, we do have a lot of permit-locked regions out there, many of them larger than the human bubble itself, so who knows what should have been in there at one point. So all of these are the types of things that I have expected to see over the years. Elite Dangerous released nearly 6 years ago at this point, and not one thing from that list has been added. And for me, that's something that I find extremely disappointing. It's not a fact I can hide, to be absolutely honest there. It is a massive disappointment to be 6 years into development of a game that I really do like, and not to have had any of those things that would have made Elite a very unique and very special space game. But that said, Odyssey is clearly ramping up to bring new additions to the game, the ability to walk around, as well as very basic atmospheric planets, and judging by recent concept art and hints from interviews, building interiors are going to be a thing as well, so it's likely there will be more to Odyssey, but only time will tell. Frontier have got a lot more left to reveal about all of that, but like you, Random Walk, these aren't really the things that I wanted to see in Elite. But regardless, all these years after Horizons, it's definitely nice to finally see a new expansion, and at the end of the day, I think it's a bit too early to make a judgment call on what Odyssey will or will not deliver. But even still, I rather am very hopeful for the future of Elite, and I do think Frontier will deliver something very new and hopefully interesting as well. Right, Samarkand. Do you think that the inception of legs, with the inception of legs, that base building will follow? Right, that's really an interesting thought, because base building was first mentioned on the leaked roadmap from April of last year, was it? Nearly everything on that roadmap turned out to be accurate, and recently Frontier did announce that base building will not be coming to Odyssey, so that left a lot of people doubting the accuracy of the roadmap, even though to that point I'd say it's around about 90% accurate. They got the games right, expansions right for other games. The leaker did admit that they didn't know too much about Elite, but Odyssey and base building. My take on that is that base building was originally planned and that Frontier, for whatever reason, scrapped the content. I still believe the roadmap, firstly because of its accuracy originally and across the first part of the year, and secondly because of Elite's project name also turned out to be correct. That said, we'll never actually know for sure unless Frontier actually come out and discuss it. But at this point, it's very hard to tell whether what will and won't be possible in Elite, as I mentioned a moment ago. After all, two features that players have asked for again and again ever since 2012 are full atmospheric worlds and walking around inside of ships, and it seems neither of these will be a thing for the release of Odyssey. But likewise, unexpected features are equally a possibility, so yes, maybe at some point in the future base building or base ownership will be an actual thing. And as you point out, it would be a decent addition to fleet carriers. Okay, so moving on and still on the subject of Odyssey, you may have noticed, some of you, that Frontier announced their first contact creators program. This is basically a program for people who make YouTube videos and people who do live streams, to which they can sign up and get involved directly with Frontier on the release of Odyssey content. And basically what this is all about is that Frontier are going to be providing access to information, much in the same way that they do to the press. So, for example, I think probably about 3 weeks ago now, 2.5 weeks ago, whenever it was, early on in the month, Frontier had a press event with the press. They invited Eurogamer and Polygon and all the other big names to a virtual press event where they showed off Odyssey content and talked about what they had in store for the game. Now, some companies, some developers and studios actually do very similar events for YouTube video makers and live streamers. They hold events or otherwise directly send press kit information directly to the streamers, so that these streamers, these YouTube makers, can make videos ahead of time, so that when the information comes out, when Frontier release the information or other companies release the information is there to hand and the content creators have the same videos. Now, Frontier have done likewise. We've got the First Contact Content Creators Program. It's something I've also signed up to myself. There is a little welcome package that you may have seen people posting about, a little welcome package that Frontier sent out to streamers and YouTube makers. It contained an Elgato Stream Deck and a few other bits and pieces, but that's not really what the program's all about. The focus of the program is getting information into the hands of people, and basically it stops the mix-ups that we've seen over the years where people one YouTuber's saying X and another YouTuber's saying Y, and you've got streamers completely unsure what's going on. It's basically about Frontier getting a bit better and a bit hotter on their communications. Now, one thing that was very much a deciding factor on whether or not I would get involved in this program is how it would affect the content itself. Are we still free to say what we want? Are we still free to do what we want? And it turns out that we are. That was one thing I was very clear on with Frontier. Frontier were very clear on with me that it doesn't have any effect on the type of content we make. Basically, in short, we can walk away at any point. We don't have to make any content. And if I'm being perfectly honest here, as I've said before, I have had early information from Frontier. I've got early access to information on fleet carriers, so this really isn't a change for me personally, but it's certainly going to be a change for the other people involved in the program. So it's good to see Frontier opening up and discussing things. Now, as you can tell, perhaps from the earlier parts of this video, my take on Odyssey at the moment is very much an open book. I don't know what to expect. I'm disappointed that we're probably not going to be walking around inside ships. I'm disappointed we're not going to get full atmospheric planets. Whether or not there be gas giants, I don't know. I would like to see more space content. Basically, you know my opinion already. I've already spent a good half of this video actually talking about that. But that's not to say that Odyssey won't be a good thing. One thing I do know is that Frontier do have a lot more information to release yet. I haven't seen any of that beyond what you've all seen for now, but hopefully over the next few weeks we'll all get to see a bit more. And yeah, as usual, I'll be posting news videos and opinion videos on all of that. We'll see how it goes. In short then, I think Odyssey has certainly got a lot of hype and a lot of expectations to live up to. I've got every hope that Frontier can deliver on that, but like many other people, I'm going to sit on the sidelines and wait and see. Meanwhile, on the Flight Simulator front, I'm looking forward to seeing the next patch, or the first patch actually, which is going to hopefully fix some of the ongoing problems the game has had since release. Beyond that, we have a huge, well, at least I hope it's huge, we have a world update coming later on this year, as well as a sim update. And then later in the year after that, there's going to be a paid update. Fully expecting to see helicopters or something like that at some point. Indeed, I do believe someone has actually mentioned that helicopters are probably going to be a part of the next update later this year. But at any rate, that's something I'm going to be talking about in a future Flight Simulator video. All good stuff, very interesting, and looking forward to seeing where it goes. For now though, that brings us to an end of this video. A bit rambly I think, but hopefully you enjoyed it nonetheless. And again, thank you everyone for all your support. It really does mean the world to me. As always, thanks for watching. And I'll catch you guys and girls next time.